Welcome, everybody, and welcome to Marieke and Domenico here. I'm very excited. I'm double excited this time to host this talk on two projects, actually, by previous alumni, previous participants, Domenico and Marieke, here again at the Jan van Eyck Academy. They will present, so the first reason I'm excited is because you will present an existing project on Manna, which is a word, a quite mysterious material, but a word very well known in the Italian vocabulary, because there is a saying una manna dal cielo, so manna from the sky, which means when something very positive and surprising happens or occurs to you. But actually very rarely we know what manna is, where it comes from, and what is really, why is it coming from the sky? So I hope that you will help us to, or at least me, that I have this background, to give a bit more materiality to this metaphor, or to this image of the manna coming down from the sky. And at the same time, I'm also very excited because you will introduce your upcoming project, on which you are currently working and will work in the upcoming months, if not years. And it's a project that brings together many very interesting, although very different influences, which is the official, the history of the official discourse on sustainability. I won't say more. An ecological experiment, perhaps more alternative, so an alternative take from the same period, very much situated here in the Netherlands, and we'll put these two elements from our recent history in dialogue with the spiritual alchemy and magic from the Middle Age. So I won't say more, and I leave you the word now, but maybe we can give a warm applause to Domenico and Marieke.
Thanks so much. Good evening. We are Marieke and Domenico. Thank you for coming. We feel like home because we spend very nice time here. And yes, we have many things to say. We are always in work in progress and operation, experimentation. And this project is come from the Jan van Eyck, because when we arrive here, we have a funny story. Maybe you want to introduce this story. When we arrive in Jan van Eyck, we have this full immersion in sustainability and green, and for us was new. In the beginning we have a lot doubt because it's not easy. It was exactly when start this tendency in the Netherlands, and we have this I don't want to say conflict with Isham, but we make a lot of joke, say why we need to go in this way. We need to understand before, we need to have a documentation, we want to say more. And after 4 years now, we are here to talk about sustainability and alchemy, experiment and natural material. And it's funny. Maybe Marieke have a more word about.
No, I think story. we applied with because were artists always working with more social topics. So we applied with a project which I think was then accepted just before Hisham. I think it was a change here. And then we thought, oh, everybody who will come in, we get lectures and we can discuss. And then there was this ecological agenda. So Hisham came in our studio. Yeah, what are you interested in the ecological topics? I said, come on, So it was very interesting. And every time when we see each other now, we say, oh, yeah, I remember we still thought, because of course Hisham tried to explain to us that it's, this is all connected. What everybody is talking nowadays about, it has all to, the social and the ecological go hand in hand. But we were still old-fashioned. Of course, there were others who were already in that direction, but we were not. So we tried to say to Hisham, come on. And yeah.
So no, it's not old-fashioned. When we arrive here, we have a lot of motivation. We want to show our research, of course. And you have this tendency was really strong. And maybe we are not ready at the moment, but step by step, we understand also it was important, and to be open with other people and to share the work and experience. You arrive in a moment that's okay. Maybe we can work together. We can work about this, and that's happened after many years. So we show the famous Manna, and thanks for the introduction. in Italy, la manna caduta dal cielo, have this, when you are lucky, something lucky come from the sky. And, there is a lot of things about spiritual and Catholic. But in this case, it's funny because you have the element, the material. And it's nice to see, it's nice the story. And you can see this beautiful whole tree. In Italian, it's frassino. It's very onomatopoeic word, but the ash tree, we have a lot also in the Netherlands. But especially in this place in Sicily, I come from Sicily, I'm very proud about this. In this area, they have, know a lot, maybe 200, 300 old tree, and they have this special tradition. It's very secret. Only this young guy, the name is Mario Cicero. If you go in Sicily, go with Mario, because Mario work a lot in Europe like a chef. One day leave the work chef restaurant Michelin and back to Sicily and fall over I don't remember the grandfather or the aunt, I don't remember. And now Mario have a beautiful organization about a consortium for Manna, and it bring all the people, tourists, not tourists, to show the Parco delle Madonie. Madonia Park is very beautiful place because it's close to Cefalù, famous place for beach, Valtour village, blah. But this place, Castelbuono, is in the mountain. You have a beautiful beach, very touristic beach, like Miami, and in 20 minutes in the... very famous in the same. Brigitte Bardot was there in Cefalù a long time ago. And 20 minutes by car, you arrive in the mountain. And there is this microclimate, and it's really special because you have the warm from the sea and the mineral, sodium, and blah, blah, blah. And the mountain with a very specific plant, and only in this park, and the ash tree. And if you see this picture, it's really interesting. You can see the cut. And also this nails, the name Mannaruolo is like Arabic shadow. And they have a very secret and traditional modality for cut the tree. It looks like simple, but you can see the stratification and the line look like a map. It's art. It's like... every time you cut the tree, there is a specific moment in the season to have this lymph or resin, but it's more lymph and not resin. And the taste is like honey, like sugar, and it's delicious. And there is only 200 trees in the world, or in Sicily, because if you try in the Netherlands, you need to spend maybe 20 years for arrive in this moment when you cut the tree, the tree, and you have this lymph. And now Castelbuono is famous UNESCO place for the manna, and it's famous because they make a lot of cake, the panettone with manna. And manna, you can use it for medicine, you can use for like honey, like sugar, natural sugar. And what we made, we tried to make a glaze for ceramic. Is really crazy because the manna is extremely expensive. If you want to buy 200 grams, it's like €400. And now I show you. So when we approach the consortium and this guy, we want to buy manna for destroy manna because we need to burn for make ceramic. So you are crazy because it's really expensive. It's really sweet. But we are in this mood to make like alchemy experiment, and we love this because art for us is a mixed, sometimes nonsense to mix material, and in this case, manna was a sustainability material, and we try to have a really deep contact with the community and the local people. And now we show what we made. So we meet these people. We try to catch the more raw as possible because the special manna go to the bakery, and we try to stay very local with local people. a local material to understand the technique, but there is a lot of secret. They never show you the system because it's really like a lobby, like setup. But obviously it's good like this. And after I bring my piece of Manna in Eyck Academie. Eyck Academie, this beautiful place for ceramic in Oosterwijk, close to Tilburg. And I have a friend there. I have this obsession about ceramics, so we try to make an experiment. And we mix Manna with some other pigment or the clay to make this test. Of course, in the kiln, the Manna is gone. But with many experiments, we have this strange effect. But it's no, in Korea, in China, in Japan, we have a lot of experience with the ash glaze. So if you burn some grass, you have this silicium or some part of calcium, and you have this color, sometimes green, sometimes blue. So it's possible, especially when you use the kiln archaic anagama with wood. So it's possible to make glaze with ash, with a tree, with a very organic material. And this is what we trying to do in the last project. And the next project we will make I will go in Denmark with another artist resident for ceramic to make experiment with oysters or other local material from the place when we work. And this is Castelbuono, the place of Manna. It's a beautiful medieval village with a beautiful castle. And we made an art. We won this grant with the Italian Council. The name is SPAC, Project for Contemporary Art Contemporary. And I spent 3 months there for make ceramic. And we have a solo show at the end. So this experiment with Manna, Marieke make a performance after we show the pictures. And we try to for me it was easy because I'm Sicilian, to give a very big feeling with the community. So I play with the football team. I meet a lot of people, the artisan, the ceramist. We went with Mario in the park to visit this beautiful park. So we have a big connection with the people there. After 3 months, and we organize a public program with we walking in the park. We try to catch some material, some piece of tree or some element, mineral, because we want to put all this material in the glaze of the ceramic. And this is the Manna, the experiment, the raw Manna, the filter. And this is the sculpture we made there, and look like a imaginary castle, also mixed with there is a very crazy old tree in this park. So it was a mix of nature and castle. And this is what we burn all the material in very archaic style. We filter. If you have some question or you want to say something about Castelbuono, no? I put all the ingredients for the future material bank. I can say I tried in 3 times to burn the Manna in bain-marie, in the oven, and after with the barbecue, really old style. And the Manna becomes sometimes like dust, sometimes was like sweet, like sugar sweet. You can see this color brown here. And this part of Manna you can deal with in the water and become like brown, black brown. But this is what's happened when we glaze the ceramic. It looks like a moon, and another interesting thing, this glaze have a smell like flower or honey, and was nice to stay in the show. I have also this other sense. You can touch, you can see, of course, but you can smell the artwork. And we made also a wall painting, so you can see exactly the material, the color, the piece of ash. And this we made a wall painting, also specific with the castle and this installation. And this is Marieke performance. Maybe now you can.
There's some other
Next.
pictures. Yeah.
And we have different type of manna. One with a lot with charcoal and the natural manna.
So you have painted the ceramics with the material.
Sorry?
You didn't put them in the kiln.
No. In this case, we don't put it the second time in the kiln because we use this technique, the ingobbio. So you can paint dry this material because we want to make a very archaic kiln where we have no permission for the Comune of Castelbuono because we need a big fire. Or we need the people to check. So at the end we have the Korean solution with the painting dry, and also with this system we have this materiality, but also the smell, because if you put in the kiln, become more brown or black. And this is the show we made also the idea of alchemy. We made this work with copper, like whole style. And we wrote a text, me in Sicilian, Marieke in English, was also here an imaginary chat. And the funny thing, you cannot read because you need to sprint to read the text. So it was a mystery when people arrive. Only if you have the phone with the selfie, you can try to understand this crazy chat. But in this village, there is a famous rock festival in the summer. That only for 3 nights, we made in the facade of the castle. The secret is, and you not see in this picture, but it was like a ghost writing like this.
Yeah, which maybe is because already the text had sort of a nonsense, because it was like this poetry, surreal poetry, what we tried to do, but the text in Sicilian, because you hardly see Sicilian text in public space, of course. And then you have this huge Sicilian text, which doesn't make sense. So we really saw people during the festival trying to, they were really sort of, there was the rock bands, and then on the left side you had this huge projection going in a loop. And every time you saw people really looking again, trying to read it, and they recognize because it's Sicilian, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So there was all the time this.
No, it's funny because it's very international festival in very small village. So a lot of people come from Germany, Netherlands, was also Dutch band there. and with this work, we keep together the local people for the Sicilian, but also in English, they can read both a strange story. It was very nice to show the archon at the hand because in Sicily, long time ago, with Frederick II, they invented the poetry. So also this phrase was also like sonnet. So we had also this joke of medieval poetry and mystery, and also Marieke make performance about Christine Pizan.
Yeah, it started with a local story that, of course, I think every castle has this legends. And there was here the legend that the prince married a very young princess. I think she was 12, 13 years old. She couldn't get kids, so he locked her up in the tower. And the story goes that she, of course, didn't have any food. So in the end, she was eating the furniture. So I sort of melt with these trees, which are also local trees, and give a voice to the ghost of the soul of the princess, and referring them to the work of Christine de Pizan, which was a writer in medieval times, and she wrote The City of Ladies. I think it's the first manifest in Europe of feminism. So actually all these works which passing by, and I think that's also interesting why we started with the material experiment, it all deals with mingling different groups of people getting out of our own bubbles where we are nowadays in, and how can you reconnect with different people. So that's why the local participation with the people is very important. That's what we always had also in our previous works. But now we also introduced the experiment with the local material. So this idea of this alchemy approach is also a reference to, more a social way of living. And the performance that I do here, actually, which is always now when I do a performance, is always an interactive one. So I challenge the public, I react on the public. This castle has every year a summer exhibition with a contemporary artist. But of course, it's a small village, so it's full with general tourists, let's say. So a lot of people from different countries in Europe. So my performance was actually for a broad public, and I can switch because I speak Italian and I speak French and German and Dutch and a little bit of Spanish, so I could swap all the time with all these languages with the general public, which was quite of an interesting challenge. So it was not a project actually only for the contemporary art scene, let's say, but much more broad in that aspect. So like from the tourists to the rock lovers who came for the festival, to the people, the local people, actually, that's what was all included in our project. But maybe that's not for the future material bank, I think. Okay.
But maybe later.
Yeah. Prossimo? Qual è?
Next is
the
next resident now.
Sì, va bene, quello. Facciamo il salto lì. No, maybe we do a quick intro.
We can explain our approach of work, because we are a duo, we are different. We have she makes performance, I work more with ceramic or by hand, so artwork. And we love to have more people as possible, it's not only the elite of contemporary art. We are open to make an experiment with natural material, but also Marieke with the performance is extraordinary because she talks many languages. She has this power to bring all the people, young people, old people with different language. She start the performance, become really a big show. And this is good because the show is not only formal work, artwork or installation. You have an interaction with the people. So, and also when before the backstage, before the make ceramic, I love to go to the artisan. I go to discover some material. I love to go with this guy to show me the Manna, because every element after become part of the show. So the idea to make the wall painting with this very old technique. Also the glaze is not original, but if you go in China and Korea, you have this glaze like dry from many years ago. But our goal is when we work with the tradition, with the history, but we transform in art today is not only for contemporary art, but also for open public.
Sì, ma poi facciamo l'introduzione di questo adesso.
This one?
Mm.
And now the 5th May, I will go in this beautiful place in Denmark. The name is Guldengelgard. I don't know if the pronunciation is correct, but it's famous. It's like the similar at the KVC in the Netherlands, but it's in the countryside, 1 hour and a half from Copenhagen. And this place is famous in Europe because they still have a archaic kiln. So they have a soda kiln, anagama kiln, wood kiln. You can make. They have an event in August they call Claytopia, something like that. So you can make a kiln outside in the park. And if you want to work with a very organic glaze, you need to have no ordinary kiln like electrical with gas, but you need to make an experiment like make hole in the ground, or with with this brick you make your special kiln. And we are in this mood to make this crazy experiment like alchemy to In this case, there is a lake there, so I try to put some shell and transform in dust or oysters. We have obsession with oyster with Bruno. We shows our video about oysters in the Netherlands, and also local material.
But it will be, maybe I can go on. No? Can I take over?
Okay.
Because this will be the beginning of a new, longer project that we want to work on, where we confront again the real material experiment with this text of the Club of Rome, which is totally another thing actually than we did before, but I'm always interested actually by history in a way. I studied originally art history, specialized in architecture history. And the project that we've been working on for a long time was about psychiatric experiments, which started in the 70s. Actually, we spoke with Bruno also about that. But then I realized that, of course, this moment of the 70s was much bigger democratization movement. So on all levels, at least in the Netherlands, but also in Italy, it was quite strong. So in the Netherlands, you had changes of approaches in healthcare, education, which still are very important nowadays. There were a lot of decisions made on policy for the welfare state. And there was this important moment of the fact that ecologically some things were going wrong in the world. There was this Club of Rome publication, Limits to Growth, which was an international publication, which was quite famous also nowadays. But the Netherlands was one of the first countries where the publication was translated in Dutch and was received as a very important publication. There were more than 250,000 copies sold at the time in the Netherlands, and worldwide, in the end, over than 12 million. So it was actually the first alarm internationally of saying, like, hey, things are going wrong, fossil energies will end, we have to live in another way. But when I came across, I thought, hey, it's interesting because everything which is going on nowadays was already said 50 years ago, and nothing really changed. How is that possible? So we're always fascinated by this idea of history, which then, brings alarms, but then nothing changed in a way. And then I was going back into, so actually what we did, we've published actually an advertisement like a year ago, I think, in all the big Dutch newspapers and in the Groene Amsterdammer to see who has a publication at home and if they would send us a copy. It's interesting because from the Groene Amsterdammer, which is sort of an important magazine in the Netherlands, we got 4 reactions, I think, of people. And then we published it in the Volkskrant, NRC, and Parool, probably, which sort of the biggest newspapers in the Netherlands, and we got only 3 reactions. So, while knowing that there's 250,000 copies sold in the Netherlands, so that was 7 reactions, and I went to pick them up because I was interested why people had that, why they had it at the time, and of course, very different stories, and a lot of people saying that they had it somewhere upstairs, and 2 of them like apologizing that they had it so far that it was not nowadays anymore in their living room that they had. So it was very beautiful to see. So that was the start, and we want to do that on a bigger level because it was translated in more than 30 languages. So it's actually a very nice idea that you can have sort of a general language that you can spread, work on this project in a lot of different countries because it was at that time so widespread. But then I realized that as a childhood, in my childhood, I was sort of confronted already with this approach because actually the publication is really focusing on the technical aspects of this ecological disaster. So they have been doing researches with a lot of statistics, And they tried with the idea of innovation and technology, like how could you rethink of solving the problems. And then I thought, oh, I was a kid, and at home we always had this sort of weird magazine which came, you know, every 3 months, I think, which is called the Kleine Aarde. I don't know if some of you, the Dutch people in the public, recognize that. Here you see, and now I've been going back into that again, and I realized, and also they write in their magazine that they're directly connected with the publication of the Club of Rome. So there's the idea of how can you change things in your real environment, but technology was an important part of it. Let's see the website. They have digitalized their the magazine from 72 until 2010, and we can have a little inside. E vai nel primo 72. Nel primo 72. So actually, if you want to know a little bit about the history actually in the Netherlands about this climate alarm already, I think this is the best source to do that. What they like the first, so they were not. It was not only a magazine; it was also a place which is still existing. It's in Brabant, and they had like a moestuin. I always forget how you say that in English. Yeah, vegetable garden, and they were building little structures on self. How do you call that? Being autarkic in your living place. A little ball house. And they gave education was really important. So they explained how you could have your own vegetable garden in a more biological way, how you could build your own house, and also a lot of articles about the rest of the world. And you can see that they were connected to a more sauna collectors, but also what was going on in Peru and how the social fight was connected with ecological themes. It's a fantastic magazine, I think. The interesting thing was that my parents were not at all these ecological fighters. So I recently even asked my mother, like, how come that you had this magazine? And she said, I don't know, was sort of part. I mean, they were social workers, so they were in a social context, but nothing with ecology. So I've been seeing that magazine for, I think, maybe 6-7 years in my life. Nobody was ever really reading it at home, but it was always there. And if you go back to... anni 80. Yeah, so these are the ones that I know because then I was 6. And they always have this one color, and also inside it was always gray. I never understood why the paper was so ugly, and it was all drawings by hand, totally non-fashionable. If you go in this now, it's just amazing. And the introduction in 72 about what is going on in the world could be an introduction which was really written nowadays, when you go back. So that was this idea, like from something that you know from your childhood, but not really understanding, connected to this Club of Rome publication, which was so internationally spread. And that will be part of a performance, still in development, of course. At the moment, I've been starting just to go in nature and to read out loud from the book of the Club of Rome to the trees. And maybe I'm developing, I think in Denmark, I will do that also, but then reading in the Danish version with the people from that village, that's the idea. So literally bringing back that text in nature. And then with these experiments with the organic ceramics, which will be part of the performance. C'è un'altra foto qua dentro, dietro, no? Nel nostro PowerPoint, che altro abbiamo? Qual era quello dopo? I see. And then to end, and then I think we open the story. Non ci sono I dettagli? See. What we've been working on already is, in the past as well, is a nature encyclopedy from Middle Ages time. It's the first, Der Natureblume was the first nature encyclopedy written in Dutch in 1270, but based on Latin sources which were already then in Europe, where nature is still seen something actually always from the human perspective. And in this encyclopedia there's a part which describes strange people, people that would live far away. But in the encyclopedia, the first sentence is that maybe you think that not everything is true in this encyclopedia, but I can assure you it is. So there's a lot of fable creatures, also fish, etc. So again, we want to go back because all these experiments with nature and reflection, for us, it's, yeah, we're looking also for the magic in that and the spiritual, which we combine.
Yeah, it's always difficult to explain by word, but we try with the artwork. We have this like a metaphor, but it's no metaphor because it's real. Long time ago, the human being and the, let's talk about cosmos, was really close. I don't want to say spirituality. Our goal is to try to, not to back in the past, but to this distance to cosmos and human being is very, the world is artificial now, everything goes really fast, we have no time, we have only digital things. We want to go a little bit back close to the cosmos. With cosmos, it's like nature, it's like experience with the people, community, more inclusive. So with our project and the artwork, when we invite the people to touch the artwork, when Marieke have interaction with the public, we make experiment with local material and put in the artwork. We want to go really close again with cosmos and human being. This is our ambition, of course. It's no easy to transform every time in this idea, but we try to do that.
Yeah. Any questions?
You're welcome.
Can I borrow one of your mics?
Yes.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this fascinating journey from Sicily to Denmark. I don't know if there are any questions, but perhaps I have a few ones, so I will just ask one and then leave it up for the others. So I think you bring within your work many different realms together. So also like from your backgrounds, which is in like arts and crafts and performance, and also like an academic background in political history. But then also when I look at these, we see like very ancient knowledges that relate to nature and to ecology, and then you bring them like into a contemporary art sphere, and you try to mediate all these words. It seems we spoke about together also how you have been fascinated by a concept by an Italian architect, Ettore Sozzas, right, about artificial detachment, which is about how modernity has created this distance between us and what you call the cosmos, in a way. And this is also like a concept very similar to Federico Campagna's Techne Magic, so technique and magic, which so like how we relate, how we like at least in Western Europe, because it's also very important to localize our practices and what we are talking about. And that's also something I would like to perhaps delve a bit more into with you, Domenico, specifically because you're from Sicily, which is a very specific geography in Europe, I think. But also, so we have the techne, which has created this distance, which is like this technical approach to nature, which is probably for the one informing the limits to grow from the Club of Rome, which was, by the way, I made some research, was written by a group of MIT researchers. Not surprisingly that it was so technical and so techno-scientific as an approach. And magic, which is all the unforeseeable unfolding of the cosmos and all these relations. So my question is whether you think that perhaps with your work, specifically about also how ceramic has a lot of, and working with ceramic and not traditional ceramic materials, sort of perhaps collapse these, like the technology, which is like inherent into the ceramic craft, and the cosmos, so the unpredictability and the unfolding. How do in your work you see the collapse of the magic and technique? So if you want like to build a bit upon this. So Federico Campagna separates these two things, oppose them. There are like, for instance, I have in my mind the work of Chilean artist Patricia Dominguez. She used this idea of technologies of enchantment in which she brings together many different realms, which is like from the digital to the ethnobotany. And she conflates and she merges and fuses all these realms together. And there might be resonances with what you have been doing with the Manna specifically, and I'm curious about what you will do with the new project.
The microphone. This is our. We are a duo. We are very different. I come from Sicily, so I'm more the magician part, less pragmatic, let's say, and she comes from the Netherlands, really extremely pragmatic. And this is our power because we can mix that, and sometimes we fight with that, and sometimes she thinks I'm really nonsense, and vice versa. Sometimes say, "Oh, Marieke, this is too much, ordinary for me." But this is our power. So we are both open. We can try this crazy mix. And what I'm thinking, for example, when I go to Eyck Academie or a place like for make ceramic, all people talk about technique. But I'm an artist. I study a lot ceramic when I was in the high school, in Academy of Fine Art. So I have experience. But when I saw people say I'm an expert of ceramic, I say, come on, this is many, many years of history, and the best thing comes from when you make a mistake. And sometimes this is a conflict, because what is technique, what is magic? Magic when you make a mistake and you find something really extraordinary. And technique is only, okay, I need to make 20 pieces. I need to make this work for the building, so we need no creep. In our case, we love when we failure. We love when there is a creep in the piece. Some people don't understand that, but we are in the part of no repetition, no the same piece. We love the unique piece. So maybe, I don't know, it's the collapse.
What I find really interesting is that these, like the report of the Club of Rome and then all the proposals of the Kleine Aarde, especially these proposals in this magazine, how you could live your life or how you could solve. There's hardly any, they also say it on the website, nothing happened really in 50 years. So they sort of rely on techniques in all these proposals, but then it seems almost sort of old-fashioned in a way. So and that's maybe more something from the Netherlands, that this idea that technology can solve a lot of problems. I think we are more cynical about that. So we like to play with that. So this idea of alchemy, so really working also on reality with trying to combine, yes, but then comparing it with these reports from the time is really important for us in a way, like, hey, how does that work? I mean, also like the Club of Rome was sponsored by, for example, Volkswagen, so there was a lot of industrials behind. And then the Kleine Aarde, the start was also sponsored by Philips. So the person who built up the Kleine Aarde, he was working before at Philips. And then he said, hey, I want to start this thing. Do you want to sponsor? So that's what they did. So there were a lot of financial powers behind. And then big changes were not made. So a lot of ideas. Yeah, it's this thing of what does it mean, ideas, and how come that things then stop. I mean, I've been reading also this article which really reflects on how come that these big industrials were behind this, and was it already a sort of early greenwashing, or then this article states that maybe at that time, like the big companies still had a sort of social idea, still, even if they were big commercial, but like Shell and KLM, they were still very much involved with Dutch society. And then later from the 80s onwards, of course, it goes in another direction with capitalism. But I was working on a PhD, which was on urban social housing and urban changes in the 70s at the University of Eindhoven. Actually, I was still working on that when I got here, and actually I didn't finish. So I had to admit 2 years ago that was not going anywhere. Yeah, we work with a failure, and that actually is now getting into some performance that I did recently. Yeah, but I remember like always going to the Eindhoven University. They have a sign which says something about innovation. Innovation is the future, yeah. And that was I started there in, let's say, 2008, and I always had to laugh. I found it sort of an old-fashioned way of thinking, but apparently it's not. It's still very important for a lot of people. So this idea with technology and, yeah, playing around, yeah, it's part. Yeah, but that's another another chapter. Any other questions?
When we start to work about the Club of Rome, she was really like Marieke. Yeah, we go, okay, we need to work with the Club of Rome. And I'm the, I don't want to say the negative part, but I have a more dub. Because when you study about the Club de Rome, it was really interesting idea to, this book was clear for all the people, talk about statistic. We need to stop with petrol, with oil, was the 1972. But in the same way, one of the founders was Aurelio Pecce, is Italian. I go to watch all the video about this man. But this man worked with the Fiat Auto, Olivetti, and Alitalia. So, oh wow. If you follow now the Club de Rome, they talk about the Wi-Fi in the lights, really extreme technology. And I think, like an artist, I'm not against this thing because it's important, the progress. But the art have another goal, to make art to confuse the people, to try to find other different way, respect the production, the factory, and or maybe you can tell about the story about the sun.
We spoke with Julia about it, that this recent proposal is that to block the sun, like a technical innovation, which of course is going very far in a way, because then you're really going to intervene in the world. But yeah, that's again this idea of technology and how to solve.
I think, I don't know if there are any questions. In case, shout. Otherwise, I want to go back, perhaps. I want to sort of move back to the idea of magic from technology, because critique to technology is, I mean, we are kind of aware of the big problems and the forces that brought it to the Club of Rome and that are still like very much influential in the sustainability discourse. But I want to go back here, and I want to go back to the name of this person, Mario Mario Cicero. Yeah, we need to ask for permission to the mystery guy. But also, like, you mentioned something very, very, I think that really like hit me very strongly, which was like the fact that there are 200 ash trees that produce these, the manna, so this harsh. At the same time, there seems to be very few people who know how to relate to this harsh. Do you want, like, thinking about magic, thinking about what we are losing, what is disappearing nowadays, you know, like in relation to ecology, but also more broadly, actually, in relation to words of being. If you want to talk about this word of being that you experienced for 3
for
months.
example, Mario is really jealous about the tree. It's not open to all the people, because when you open this garden of manna, after become industry, and these magic things disappear. And this is the what we want to try with art. If you make a reproduction, a replica, we make a 20 solo show for years, we have a lot of artwork, we don't need that. We need maybe we work 10 years for a project, but it's good project and we can share this Cosmo idea. I don't know, it's difficult to say, because maybe after, I hope Mario found, you know, some people follow him, but they are really jealous about that. And I understand when you go in, yeah? Protect, very, very, really protected. You want to share, but at the same time,
process, because it's very slow. It's a very slow process. Like he needs to cut the tree, and then there's a long time that he has to wait, and not all the trees work. He tells about that he knows from the insects, especially that go in certain trees. Then he knows that there's a lot of inside. So if the insects are not going there, then he knows that's not a good tree. And he explains that, for example, if people don't know how this works, then they make cuts everywhere. Because we've asked him about it, like, how do you feel? Because you cut the tree. I mean, it's like an aggressive gesture. And then he said, yeah, I know, but I know exactly where I can do it. I'm very precise with not over-demanding. So he has a whole, when he talks about it, it's very spiritual. I said it's almost like even that you almost talk to the trees. But I said maybe it's a silly comment. And then he said, no, he admits that. So he's very spiritual in the way how he works with the material. Then the interesting thing is that then the material goes, a lot of them goes to this pasticceria, Fiasconar, which is now really famous. They even opened some shops in the
every
airport in Italy. So this small company has become a huge thing. So this not only because of the manna, but they also use it in their cakes. And so there's on one side this very traditional idea, and then this local product becomes very commercialized again in a way. So
this is the idea, because I work with ceramic again, because you need time to spend. Ceramic, you need time to dry, time to work, the experience your hand in, you know, dirty hand, and try and make a spin. This is the new tendency. Sometimes the quality of the artwork, the quality of the modulation need time, the experience, and you need to work maybe 3-4 years to find a solution. This is go really fast. Some maybe the new generation have no time to make this experiment.
But also the working with the manna was almost dead, let's say, in Castelbuono also, because he made restarted this whole thing. So if you say about like that it's disappearing, it was almost gone already. Like nobody was really working with it anymore, and he made a revival. Yeah.
Any question? Or? How many times we fight together?
No, I was wondering how how did you two meet, and how long do you work?
We met in Sicily on the beach. I offered the pizza. I make.
You're joking.
I made a. It was funny because I made a project about that. We were invited to show in New Dakota in Amsterdam, and the title of the group show was "Yes, I Do." She needed to make work about me, and I need to make a work about her, but nobody know what we made. So it was an ode for Marieke, and she made an ode for me. And I make a song about this when I met Marieke for the first time in Sicily.
But the short version is I went to from the north of Italy. She was fed up with the north of Italy. She moved to Palermo. I went to visit her, and simple story. So we became a family, and because got kids, then you're fighting all over the time. So now I need to work, and then we thought, oh, why not working together? Then we have less fight because we have a company with a family.
Now our kids, when we went here in the Yamfanag with the kids, or we went 4 months in Curacao, we are artists too. We are equipped. Yeah, we are 4 artists. Yeah, it's funny, but.
So if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you so much, Marieke and Domenico.
Thanks for the hospitality. It's always appreciated.
Yes, it was great to learn a bit more about Manna, and we're really looking forward to know what you will do with the Club of Rome and Kleine Aarde and the medieval. Right.
Keep on touch.
Thank you.